All right, this is Andrew Hart, and welcome to the first ETF Radar. Now, if you just watched the video above where we were talking, and first off, welcoming you to ETFTRADR, and showing you a little bit of what we do and really to get the best out of our site. If you have any questions, as we said at the end of that video, please don't hesitate to contact us. We're here to obviously give you the best service and support possible. In the meantime, let's get right into the thick of things here on our first ETF Radar. Okay, over the last week, and as we'll be doing this going forward on a weekly basis, I want to quickly take a look at the indices over the last week. First off, you can see here we've got a weekly chart. This is with XRT, one of the leaders within the market as far as sectors are concerned. But bottom line, Dow Jones index down roughly about 75 basis points. The S&P 500 down almost 50 basis points, and of course the Nasdaq only down about 25. Overall, it's typically better, more bullish in the intermediate term when you see weekly outperformance in the progressive Nasdaq index. So, what were some of the big movers this week? Let's take a look at one of my favorite places to get a good idea on a topical level of things like this, and that's finviz.com. And you can do a quick little, you can basically get a heat map of the week of exchange traded funds. So you can see over on the right that they've got almost every single, not every single one, but every single important ETF. Keep in mind there's well over 800 ETFs, and we're not looking at all 800 here. There's we're taking ones with at least a minimum overall market cap here. But you can see the top left is the SPY. And what I'm going to do here is I'll zoom in once we take a look at some things. But the SPY for the week, and as you can see here, I have this set for the 1 week performance. And you can see that the SPY was up marginally, or down marginally, I'm sorry, just like what we talked about. Bottom line was that the Qs outperformed. They even outperformed over here the IWM, the Russell 2000 ETF, IWM. But most importantly, and also take a look on our blog where we just posted another monthly ETF trend review to look at these monthly trends. It's got a link back to our January trend review, and it really shows you more on a monthly trend what's going on. But look at the key concepts that we talk about in there. From a weekly standpoint for the radar, which is a little bit more actionable, you can see here that financials are strong. Financials led this week predominantly because it was this entire sector here, all of these. You got XLF being the biggest market cap, then KRE. You can see RKH was up about 2%. In contrast, look at energy right there to the right. Energy was down big. That's a pretty sizable divergence there between the two. All the way down here to the bottom left, we've got your sector. Your sector's broken up a little bit more. Consumer discretionary being some of the strongest during the week, with XRT being up about 1.5%. Notice that EEM continues to be down. Globally, over the last month, we saw continued weakness after weakness in January. As opposed to domestic in the U.S., we saw weakness in January, strength, moderate albeit, in February. So going back to the charts, what I want to take a look at is during this week we saw one thing go on. We saw, first off, strength in some commodities, strength in commodities themselves versus weakness in companies that focus in those. So, for example, GLD. GLD this week, this is a weekly chart, keep in mind, didn't lose all that much. Finished well off of its lows versus, and you can see there we've got it versus all three indices, versus GDX, which was down this week. The same relationship happened between USO, the crude oil ETF, on a weekly basis. You can see there how it's relatively moving nowhere. Pretty remarkable. Then compared to, let's say, XOP. By the way, I like XOP better than OIH for looking at some of these companies, because why? Well, it's just a little bit easier on the option side. You've got way more options, versatility there. Bottom line, look for some of these things to occur